Hi, I'm Sam Fuller from Groveland, and I'm pursuing a career in acting. Hey, how's it going? Come on in. Being out in LA is like, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's very interesting. It's like a very different place from here, um, both good and bad. I happen to enjoy it, but it's good. I mean, it's for what I'm doing. It's the right thing to be out there and to kind of pursue what I'm trying to pursue. Yes, there's actually a very specific moment in time where I felt like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be, and it was I was actually working. My friend has a company where he works for carpets. He does high end like carpet cleaning and stuff. And one of the days we had to, and they do flood work. So when people have floods, so you kind of rip out their carpets and make sure that all that stuff's good. And we box up their stuff and ship it in a pod and whatnot. But I was working with him one day, and I kind of had this moment where I was just like he turned out to be a really good friend of mine. I was kind of just had this moment where I was just like, you know what, like this is why I'm here. I have to be here to do this, and it's hard, and it's kind of like, you know, I don't know, like that. It was just a feeling, and I was driving back in this van that says Carpet Cops on the side, and I was just with my buddy, and we were listening to the music, and I was like, you know what, new chapter. This is a new chapter, and I said that to him, and I was like, this is a new chapter for me right here, and this is. I started thinking about becoming an actor when I was in sixth grade, and I auditioned for a play, for the school play, and I got the lead in the play, to my surprise, and I loved it, and I kind of just felt very at home in front of an audience, very kind of happy performing and doing that. Kind of something about the rush of the applause at the end is kind of a nice little high you can get off of that. And so after that, I kind of just always thought that it's something I wanted to do. I ended up going because I had representation in New Hampshire, actually in Manchester, and they would send me into Boston, or every once in a while they'd send me to New York, and so I'd go. It wasn't very often, but probably close to like maybe six to eight times a year. That was when I was, just kind of figuring it out. And then towards my junior and senior years in high school, I got in touch with an agency in Los Angeles, and I actually ended up going out, for month-long periods at a time, which for what they call pilot season, to kind of test my luck and get some experience out there, and get some training and whatnot. And I did that from junior year to senior year, pretty much until I left to go to California for college. So the decision to move out to LA for me was actually it's funny because for me I got more worried about it later after it already happened, because because I had been going out for pilot season on and off with my parents. We've kind of been preparing for this to go out and do that. That's kind of been our plan. I've had the benefit of having the support and love of my parents to really help me and guide me through that, as far as, like, this is the plan, this is the right thing we should do, yada, yada, yada. And, so it was never a second thought. And then after I was out there and I was living on my own for a year, it was like, oh my God, I'm thousands of miles away from my family. I have to live on my own. I'm here alone. Like, I'm in a big city where there's people that get mugged and hurt, and it was scary. And I think that initial transition was oh my God, is this the right thing to do? The very first successful audition I had, I guess, because 99% of them are not, was I walked into an office in downtown Hollywood, and I had gone there, and I had just gotten it was a one line part. It was really like a one line audition, and I just got in the audition like maybe 2 days before, and that was lucky enough to get it 2 days before. But I went and I got a coaching for it, and my acting coach was like, you know what, I have a weird feeling about this. Like it sounds like you like I feel like you're gonna get this, and I was just like, okay, and I had to dress up. I was supposed to be the devil, in for a show called Awkward, and so I wore like a red shirt, and I made sure to kind of just like before I was like sitting in the waiting room, and I wasn't saying anything or doing anything, but I kind of just like made my posture like in my head, kind of just like I wonder how the devil would sit right now. And in my mind, I had no idea it was because in the show it just ends up just being a costume. But in my mind, I was like, oh, I wonder how devilish I can make this guy or whatever. But so I go in and I do the audition, and I chatted with them for a little bit, and for whatever, they just thought I was awesome, and I like didn't know why. Like I was like, oh, okay. And I read for them, and they were like, that was the best read we've had all day. Like, thank you so much. And I was just like, okay. Like I was completely thrown off by that, because I was like, oh, I thought it was okay, but no, it was great. Like I didn't think it was the best read they've had all day. And then the next day they called me and were like, hey, we have you on hold for this. We're going to talk to the creator of the show and send her your audition tape, but your casting's pick. So the casting office had chosen me, and they were just waiting for confirmation from the creator and writer of the show. And it turns out I got it, and that was my first Hollywood role. So yeah, I did. I am not gonna lie about it. I did have a big party to have my friends over and watch myself on TV. It was my first role, so it was like, I was very excited about it, and I had all my friends over, and I didn't, it was just one of those things where I was like, I want to share this with my friends, for the people that grew up with me, and for me, I was watching it and I was like, I can't watch this. This is so embarrassing. I can't watch this. But everybody around the room was like, oh my God, that was so fun to see you, and stuff like that. I haven't done that since, because I felt like that was the only time I feel like I should be able to do that. It was like for the first one, and then after that, it's like, okay, this is my job. Like this is business. Like, and funny story. I live really very close to the Warner Brothers lot, and one day I was walking by it, and I kind of just said in my head over and over and over again as I was walking by, I was like, one day I'll work at Warner Brothers, one day I'll work at Warner Brothers, one day I'll work at Warner Brothers. 2 weeks later, I was working at Warner Brothers. So I thought that was pretty cool. After Awkward came a show called Suburgatory, which was a show on ABC, and I auditioned for the role of Derek, and Derek was written in the script as kind of one of these meathead jock types who, couldn't really think for himself. And if you've ever seen the show, that's kind of how all the jocks are. So it's pretty funny. But I ended up getting the part. Also a one line little bit, but that's kind of like that's my foot in the door these days, is I need to get those one line little parts. So I got that, and I ended up, working on the set of Suburgatory, which was great because I got to work with a lot of really great people, a great director, and it was just it was like my first real. I mean, Awkward was great, and that was my first real gig, but Suburgatory was that was my first real time being on a full set. Like this is it was on the Warner Brothers lot, and it was like I walked on the set, and I had my own trailer, and it was just like, oh my God, I'm on the Warner Brothers set right now. Like I couldn't believe it. I mean, Grey's Anatomy came about with just, like all the auditions come about, I went in and I auditioned for it, and I walked out, and I thought nothing of it. I thought, it's funny because for Grey's Anatomy, I really was just like, I don't, I'm going to go in, I'm going to be, the character's pissed in the show, or at least, my lines are that he's pissed, and I kind of it's like, all right, well, I'm going, and I'll be pissed. And I actually think I was pissed about something that day regardless. So I think I kind of had that little added realism there. And then I went in, and they were like, okay, do it for me again. And I was like, great. It was just one guy. And so about a week and a half passes, and I didn't hear anything about it. I was like, it's whatever. It's not anything. And then they called me in again, and they're like, "You have a callback for a Grace," and I was like, "Great," um, and they had the director, the producer, like the writers, like everybody in there, and I was shocked because it was only a 3 line part, and I went in there and I did it, and they all laughed, and I was like, they all laughed, they all laughed. Oh my god! I just walked out and left. I didn't think anything of it. Didn't even let myself get to the point of, oh, what if I get this? What if I get this? 2 days later, they called me and I got the part. Being on the set of Grey's Anatomy it was cool. There's really no other way to describe it. It was really, really cool. I have to say that it was extremely professional being on that show. And I think that has to do with they've been running for so long. They all know each other pretty well. I worked with an extra who had been working on the show for 7 years, pretty much since it started, and she's just a nurse. She pretends to be a nurse in the background. She's been working on the show for 7 years, so everybody knows each other, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience, and of course, I'm not a very big part in the episode, but that was fine with me. Like, I just wanted to be there. I'm just happy to be there. I'm happy to be given the opportunity.
It's really, really strange. The first time I saw him on TV, it just felt, well, he'd been on a commercial before, so I'd had that experience of seeing him actually on TV. And the commercial was even stranger because I could be doing anything during the day and it would just pop up. And that was strange. But seeing him in a role was really exciting and surreal, and it was a lot of fun.
It's definitely different for me now that I've had a little bit of success because there's a little more confidence that comes with that, whereas before, like, when I first got awkward, I was like, oh, maybe I just got lucky. Like, maybe it was just a one-time thing, It's just the luck of numbers, and, that'll be my thing. That'll be it. And then, I kind of started to make things happen. And this past year, especially when I did start to have some success, I noticed that it wasn't just the parts I did get, it was, the parts I didn't get. Casting directors would be like, the feedback I would get would be like, oh, he's great, he wasn't right for this role, he wasn't old enough, he wasn't young enough, but he was great, like, he was awesome. And that, for me, was good to hear, and I kind of I have this thing in sticky notes in my apartment, which says, you are better than you think you are.
I have to say that I think the preeminent quality about Sam that makes me comfortable as a parent in terms of letting him do this is he's extremely resilient. He walks away from stuff. He doesn't hang on to it. He lets go of things when they don't work out, and he lets go of things when they do work out. Even when he's successful, he moves on quickly from that too. So I think that has allowed me as a parent to be more relaxed about what he's doing, because it's extremely hard business. But his resilience, I think, makes it easier for us.
I always think I can be better. I always think that I'm not as good as this person or that person, but there was a certain level of okay, well, I'm here, I'm trying to have some success, and people are trying to tell me that I'm good, and it's kind of like, you know what, I'm good enough to work is kind of what I settled at. I'm not good enough to win an Academy Award, but I'm good enough to work. The only time I've ever been starstruck in my entire life was when I held the door open for Morgan Freeman. I lost it. Because there's this diner across the street from where I live, and so I go there all the time. All the waitresses know me. All the waitresses know me. And one day I was there with my friend, and there's a line out the door, and we're kind of like waiting, and we finally get inside the door, and I kind of turn around. There's a guy coming, this huge, like this really tall, like African American guy, and I'm just like, so I open the door for him, and I kind of look up, and I'm like, and in my head I kind of see him, and I'm like, that's Morgan Freeman, and I'm like, here you go, and I was like, here, and I kind of like keep my eyes down because I don't want to like stare at him, I don't want to like look at him, and he just goes, thank you, and I'm kind of like, yeah. Next thing I know, he's standing next to me in the line, and I'm just keeping my head down. I'm like, I can't look up at him. I can't look up at him. I can't look up at him. And I'm just looking at his shoes and stuff, And I kind of like sneak a peek. I'm like, and then he catches me, and I'm just like, and he just goes. And then I sat down, and then I finally lost it. I was with my friend. I was like, dude, that was Morgan Freeman. What? Because it's Morgan Freeman. Like, that's the coolest thing ever.